have made it. It is week 10 of the UFL season, and it is the final week, which means we have 2 games to fight for the top seed in both respective conferences, and we have a game for the number 1 overall pick, which I'll explain what that means when we get to that game. To start things off, though, we have the Michigan Panthers traveling to Birmingham to play the Stallions. The Stallions are looking to bounce back after a tough loss to San Antonio last week, and they have one of the better home field advantages in the UFL, so they were looking to win to clinch that top seed. Also, due to their loss against San Antonio, they no longer have to worry about the perfect season curse, which plenty of teams in the NFL have dealt with. Looking at you, New England. Meanwhile, Michigan is looking to keep up the pace. They still have, I believe they're still going to be running their 2 QB system, which I am not a big fan of. And for Michigan, it's more so a case of they would like the top seed in name, as I believe the UFL conference championship game is going to be played in Birmingham either way, due to scheduling conflicts with Ford Field, but that's besides the point. The last time these two teams played in week 2, it was a 7-point Birmingham victory. The line for this game is Birmingham favored by -8. I do have Birmingham winning, but I will have Michigan to cover. I think Michigan can play them close, especially if they can get their lethal run game going. Birmingham has kind of struggled against the run the past couple weeks, so it's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic plays. The second game on Saturday is between San Antonio and St. Louis. Battle for the top seed in the XFL conference. San Antonio is entering this game after a big win against Birmingham. They are riding high at 7-2. St. Louis is coming off of a really tough loss to Arlington. They need to bounce back. They sit at 6-3. And obviously, St. Louis wants the home field advantage. The Dome in America Center is the best stadium in the UFL when it comes to home field advantage. So gaining that top seed is massive for them. It's going to be interesting to see how AJ McCarron plays. I expect him to start. He is healthy. He was active last week, but not given the starting role. It's going to be interesting to see kind of how he slides back into the starting role. He's been out for 2 weeks, or out. He's missed 2 weeks. It's going to be. I want to see him get into that groove and kind of flow instantly. Gabers is going to have a much bigger role this week. He's coming back from injury. This is his second week playing since his injury. So I expect him I expect him to have that kind of groove in as well. The run game for San Antonio did enough last week against Birmingham. It's going to be interesting to see how that dynamic plays today. These point spread is St. Louis -2.5. I do have St. Louis winning because again, they're one of the toughest teams to play when they are at home. But as for the point spread, I would recommend staying away. This game I really could see going either way. But I just think St. Louis will end up winning, and it could be as close as a 1-point game or as far as an 18-point. It's really hard to predict for that one. The third game of the week is Arlington traveling to DC. Now, of course, DC is another tough place to play in. Jordan Ta'amu found a groove last week. Arlington is riding really high after the win against St. Louis. The defense looked really solid for Arlington. It's a tough home atmosphere for DC, like I mentioned earlier. And both teams are kind of looking to end the season on a high note by a big-time win and a 2-game win streak. The point spread is DC -2. The last time these two teams played, it was a 1-point game in favor of DC. So I have Arlington winning, and I have them covering the -2. I just think Arlington is the hotter team because they beat a tougher opponent. DC beating Memphis last week. Arlington beating St. Louis. I have also been riding high on Arlington for the majority of this season when they've showed me proof that they can be a really good team. So I think they finally close out the season on a really high note. The final game of UFL Week 10 is between Houston and Memphis. Both teams are 1-8, and this is the game for the number 1 pick. So I know this is going to be confusing, but basically the winner of this game gets the first overall pick in every single round of the UFL Draft. This is a way to make sure there's no deliberate tanking in the final weeks of the season. You need to win. The winner of this game gets that pick. Houston is coming off of two really close losses, and to the point where it kind of feels like they're due for a win. Memphis, I try, but there's no real consistency within their play style and their team. They're a tough team to pull for, a tough team to watch. Meanwhile, Houston, they've had so many good moments this season where they should have pulled out some kind of momentum, but they've just haven't. Both teams obviously want the number one overall pick. The first time these two teams played was in week 1, which Memphis won by 6. Houston is favored in this one by -2, and I have Houston winning, but it's the same case where I recommend staying away when it comes to the point spread. It's so hard to predict these two teams. So if anything, go money line for whoever you feel like is gonna win. But definitely, I recommend staying away from the point spread. With all that being said, thank you all for tuning in. Leave a like, comment down below your predictions, subscribe. You know the drill. And I'll see you all in the next one. Have yourselves a damn good one.